Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will talk about the Chisti order in Sufism, in Tasawwuf. The Chisti order bears the name Chist, a town in Khurasan, which lies about 100 kilometers east of Herat. The spiritual founder of the order was Khaja Abu Ishaq Shami, who came from Syria and settled for a while in Chish. He was a disciple and a Khalifa of Mimsha Dinwari, the latter being Khalifa of Hubayra of Basra and a disciple of Junaid of Baghdad. He traced his spiritual lineage through Hassan Basri back to Ali and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and is believed to be the ninth after Ali in the line of spiritual successions. Moinuddin Chisti, Moinuddin Chisti belonged to this silsila and is credited with bringing it to India when it went on to become one of the most influential orders. Khaja Moinuddin Chishti, rahimahullah, born in 1141 and till 1235, he lived in this world, was born in Shigistan, Sistan, and brought up in Khurasan. He was only 15 when his father died, leaving him in possession of a garden and a water mill. The economic situation of his family deteriorated with his father's death, so he had to work in the garden himself. One day, while he was working, a majzoo ascetic named Ibrahim Panduzi came into a garden. A young Khaja was polite and well mannered. Not only did he offer the dervish a seat under a shady tree, but also brought him a bunch of grapes to eat. The dervish recognized the spiritual potential of this boy standing in front of him. He took some same seed out of his bag, chewed them, and put them in the Moinuddin's mouth. Once Moinuddin ate the seeds, a spiritual connection was established, and Moinuddin latent spirituality was awakened within him. This experience had such an impact on him that he sold his possession and distributed the money among the poor. This version of the story of how he became a renounced the world is considered to be the most authentic. The untimely death of his father might have indeed fostered his serious and introspective temperament and urged him to devote his life to a higher purpose. It might have been the shock of the death that took him, a boy immersed in the world, from all that was mundane and brought him into the realm of spirituality. And it might have been the visit of Khaja Ibrahim that finally encouraged him to detach his mind and heart from the earthly pursuits and devote himself to a spiritual life he had sought all along. Khaja Moinuddin Chishti, he left his home and began to wander from place to place in search of knowledge. For many years, he lived in Balkh, Samarkand, and Bukhara, studying the Quran, Hadith, Fiqh, and theology. From there, he traveled to Harwan, a suburb of Nishapur, where he met Sheikh Usman Harwani, a Sufi who became his spiritual mentor. Under this, under his observation, he practiced rigorous spiritual exercises for 2.5 years. On completing his training, he was given a khirqa gown by the sheikh and appointed his khalifa. So the name of the sheikh who gave him the khirqa, his name is Sheikh Usman Harwani. From then onwards, he was allowed to train his own disciples. So only after he got permission from Sheikh Usman Harwani and he was given the khirqa by the Sheikh and appointed as Khalifa, then onwards he started training his own disciples. On leaving Harwan, he proceeded towards Baghdad. On the way, he stopped to meet great sheikhs and great spiritual guide and seek spiritual guidance from them. For almost 2 months, he stayed in Jil with Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, the spiritual founder of Qadiri Silsila. He traveled in this manner for several years till he came to Lahore, where his wanderings were halted for a while. He stayed in the compound of tombs of Sheikh Hussein Zanjani, Lal Qalandar, Sheikh Hussein Zanjani, Lal Qalandar, and Sheikh Ali Hujweri. So he stayed there for some months there. And from Lahore, he set out for Delhi. By that time, Muslims having already conquered it, it was under the rule of Qutbuddin Aibak, a general of Muhammad Ghori. Being himself a native of Central Asia, Moinuddin found Delhi familiar, and it was teeming with nobles, scholars, and soldiers, all hailing from the same area. Medieval times saw a considerable movement of people across the entire inhabited world. Some were princes in search of lands to be conquered, others were mercenaries, traders, mystics, scholars, all on the lookout for opportunities. Traveling in search of knowledge was well looked upon. The Sufi tradition encouraged one to undertake journeys in order to profit from the learning and experience of saints scattered all over the Muslim world. Travel in search of knowledge was therefore also a priority for Khaja Moinuddin, who, in the course of long journey across Asia, right from Khurasan to Baghdad and to Delhi, had the opportunity to meet many great luminaries and derive immense benefit from these meetings. When he reached Delhi, he was already a well-known Sufi and his fame preceded him. He drew crowds wherever he went. He was a great humanitarian and a well-wisher of his fellow men, caring not only for their spiritual uplift, but also for their physical well-being. It was precisely for this reason that he was so well loved and such great claims were made on his attention. He soon realized that he had hardly any time left for spiritual devotions. After a few months, therefore, he decided to leave Delhi for Ajmer, a town in the interiors of Rajasthan. He settled in Ajmer around 1206 and found it to be the fertile ground for his teachings. The area already had some converts to Islam, both from the lower as well as the upper classes. But this would not have been the main reason for a choice of location. For, among other things, he did not believe that the formal acceptance of Islam was necessary to become his follower and a Sufi. Therefore, his choice of Ajmer as his ultimate destination must have been influenced primarily by its remoteness. It lay far away from the usual routes and was free of intense political activity that marked big urban centers like Lahore or Delhi, which the founder of the Chisti orders abhorred. This decision then followed the traditions laid down by the founders of Chisti order. Khaja Moinuddin's simple ascetic life attracted all, and uh, irrespective of the religion they followed, they all started liking Khaja Moinuddin. The Muslims and the Hindus, the conqueror and the conquered, all were reminded of the social and moral values which were universal in nature. The Khaja did not attach importance to material power and wealth. He laid stress only on piety, simplicity, lawful learning, devotion to God, and service to mankind. His teachings thus appeal to all, Hindus and Muslims, rich and poor, high and low. He addressed basic human nature, which is common to all human beings. He believed, like Arabia Basri, in the concept of aesthetic love for God. Aesthetic love for God. He held that one who loved God in the true sense could not fail to love his creatures. According to him, the most exalted kind of worship was to help the poor and the needy and to feed the hungry. These are his precepts as recorded in Siyar al-Awliya. If one wishes to protect himself from the conflagration of hell, the punishments of hell, he must worship Allah. There is no better way than this. He was asked what was meant by this kind of worship. To listen to the plight of the oppressed. He mentioned to listen to the plight of the oppressed, to help the needy, and to fill the stomachs of the hungry. The man who does these three things may consider himself a friend of Allah. Firstly, he should have generosity like a river. Secondly, a kindness like the sun. And thirdly, humility like the earth. The man who is blessed is the man who is generous. The man who is respected is the man who is clean. The man who removes the burden of others is the real mutawakkil. To be firm in the way depends on two things. To respect the service of Allah and to pay homage to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moinuddin did not leave any writing of his own, but his teachings and traditions are best preserved in Surus al-Sudur, the Malfuza saying and discourses of his main disciple and the Khalifa Sheikh Hamiduddin Nagori, as recorded by his grandson. According to Khaja Moinuddin, one who wants to pursue the way must fulfill the following conditions. One should not earn money. One should not borrow money. One should not, if one has eaten nothing, even for 7 days, reveal this to anyone or seek help from anyone. If one receives plenty of food, money, grain, or clothing, one should not keep anything for the following day. One should not curse anyone And if anyone is hurt by an enemy, one should pray to God to guide the enemy towards the right path. If one performs a virtuous deed, one should consider that the source of the virtue is either one's peer's kindness, the intercessions of the Prophet Muhammad on one's behalf, or a divine mercy. If one performs an evil deed, one should consider one's evil self-responsible for the action and try to protect oneself from such deeds. Fearing God, one should be careful to avoid actions that might involve one again in evil. Having fulfilled all the above conditions, one should regularly fast during the day and spend the night in prayer. One should remain quiet and speak only when it is imperative to do so. The Sharia makes it unlawful both to talk continuously and keep totally silent. One should utter only such words as those that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moinuddin was settled in Ajmer, where he married twice. His first wife was the daughter of brother of local governor. His second wife was the daughter of a local Hindu chief. We'll stop here today, and in the next session, we will see how Haja Moinuddin Chisti continued his life further in Ajmer and what was the service he offered to the people and some of his miracles which came through him. We will go through them in our next session. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.